I bought into a system and I was trying to set it up, but I didn't understand the interface. And then I saw an alternative, so I switched platforms, and that took time, that took more money, took more effort. And then, that other application couldn't do this one thing that I wanted.
Hello and welcome to /Real Estate, the podcast for the tech-enabled agent. I'm Chris Whitling, the VP of Marketing at Real Geeks, and your host for this episode. And we've got a great returning guest, which I was just asking Chuck, our guest, if he had read the show notes, because producer Sean said by way of bio, he's an absolute delight.
I definitely appreciate that for sure. But, hello, everybody. Glad to be back. My name is Chuck Richards, and I am the Senior PM over CRM and AI at Real Geeks. And I'm excited to be back talking all things automation and organization.
What would you say you do here at Real Geeks?
High level, I spend a lot of my time talking with customers, doing market research, coming up with what our roadmap looks like. What's the most important thing for us to build now? What do we need to queue up to have next in our pipeline? And then I coordinate with our design and development teams to bring those features to life. And throughout the entire process, again, continuing to talk with customers, put it in front of users, get their feedback. We work with our internal teams so that once the new tools are built, we coordinate with marketing and with sales and with support for getting everything over the finish line and into the hands of our customers.
Both in my capacity as a podcast host here, as well as the marketing guy at Real Geeks. I really enjoy talking to customers for unique individual perspectives. We just recorded an episode with Todd Tremonte, who's a coach who we regularly talk to. So he talks to sort of groups of customers, but talking to the product guys is absolutely valuable, similar to, talking to guys in the sales organization, because they talk to a lot of customers. And so they will give you this great high level view of what's going on. And Chuck's role is really to take all the things that get said to Real Geeks and turn them into a direction for our product. So when we ask him questions like, why does an agent need a CRM? You've got a pretty formulated opinion on that.
Yeah, and that comes from, our customers, it comes from prospective customers, it comes from just research and staying tapped into the space on what are current trends in the market and what are people doing for their communication strategies and how do they work with lead generation as well as relationship nurturing. So we try to take that broad perspective and bring that all together when we're coming up with new product ideas and going throughout the design, build, deliver process.
Now that we're done with the boring tech company stuff, why do people need a CRM again?
You know what? We get that question a lot. It's not the most exciting thing that people think of when they come to us. Usually when they come to us, they're having conversations about how can I scale my business? How can I grow the number of leads that I'm looking for? What tends to get the most attention is the website side of things, because we offer website property search solutions that then connect to our backend CRM, which is essentially the people database and the hub for communications and automations with the people that your website and your marketing campaigns are generating. So it's those forward-facing aspects that tend to get a lot more of the attention for this is how I'm representing my brand and this is how I'm generating and growing my business. Whereas the CRM side is kind of like what you said, it's the boring techie stuff. This is my database. This is where I have to configure all of my settings and I store all of my email templates and my text timings. It's not the most fun stuff. What's fun is getting my business out there. And then on the other side of the lead nurturing, getting to talk with people, getting to help them through the home search process or listing their homes, doing the open houses. It's the very people-facing side of it, whereas the CRM, very rightly is often called the back end because it's all the important stuff happening behind the scenes to support everything else.
Right. So I think this is a common conversation that we have with people where there's a tension that's like, I need to scale my business. I need to grow my business. I need the sexy marketing stuff. And what quickly becomes apparent is that you need that CRM to be the foundation of the entire system. which actually, if you think back to the history of the company, the first thing that Kevin developed was the website. And then after it started producing leads based off the marketing that the customers were doing to point traffic to the website, really quickly, you need the lead manager to support that growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like you said, that's the supportive structure as you start to scale that business and you get more people looking at your site, you get names coming into your contact base. It's all right, what do I need to know about these people? Show me the information about what types of properties are they looking for. Are they favoriting listings? How often are they viewing my site? Are they saving searches? And then just as important, how do I contact them? Are they responding to emails? Are they responding to texts? Uh, can I set up some automation so that I'm not having to manually go through and keep the records updated or trigger a message to be sent? It's really that support to help manage and organize the business.
So let's go through some of the things that, when we're out talking to agents, we hear a lot. Maybe top would be, yeah, I got a CRM. It's Google Sheets. Uh, what do you think?
Yeah, we see that. You know what? And I used to work for a company that largely operated out of Google Sheets. We were managing and staffing teachers to education courses, and we had some automation set up between Google Pages, which is kind of like a website builder, with a back-end Google Sheet. And those were kind of how we were trying to do our automation. So there's stuff that you can do with Google Sheets. Google Sheets works, and that's great. But an analogy that I've read is it's kind of like working with a paper map. It'll get you from point A to point B, but you're the one having to largely go through and figure out the route that you're taking versus a real CRM is kind of like your GPS. You can do your searches, you can do your queries. It's got additional routes for you to take. You can pull up information about different destinations. You can add stops. There's a lot more that you can do and achieve with it compared with a lot of the manual work. And even if you're, very savvy with your spreadsheets and you know how to do some, custom algorithms and set up your queries and your formulas to do some basic automation, it's still only going to get you so far.
Let's do one more of these because I hear it all the time. Yeah. I got a CRM. It's right here. I'm holding up my cell phone.
Again, that can work depending on the size of your business, but at a certain point, it's just too much to manage across multiple different apps. Or even on a desktop, if you're trying to work with a couple of systems that you've bought into. Other recommendations that we see is, I've set up a bunch of different Zaps with Zapier or other kind of connections between various systems. That can work, but those connections are fragile. If one updates and then another doesn't, then all of a sudden there's an incompatibility, or you've got a piece of information in one app and maybe the integration doesn't carry it through to someplace else that you thought that you might need it, then the information is going to do you no good if you can't access it or use it. Working with the phone, again, the phone is great because the number one thing that we try to tell our customers is, call your leads. You have to call your leads. So we're not
So
looking to
you're at
replace
least on the right device.
Yes, that's you're going in the right direction. But as far as all those other things about, staying on top of managing notes and your records, that's a lot of manual work. And that's time that could be spent talking with other people.
So why do you think so many agents are so resistant to implementing CRMs?
I've heard a lot of different reasons. A lot of it, I think, comes down to they're pretty difficult to manage. Admittedly, CRMs can feel like a lot. For as much as they can do, they come with some sharp learning curves from time to time. You've got to invest time and effort to organize your system for folders, tags, however you're going to categorize your contacts, setting up your saved filters for what groups or segments of those contacts you're going to regularly look at. You've got to spend the time to get used to the interface of knowing how to navigate between your different lead pages, what to look for with their activities, and then customizing email templates and text templates and the timing at which those are going to go out. So there's a lot that's involved, and sometimes it's just it feels like a lot to people when really, a great CRM is going to be one that is doing the work for you. And with a lot of really cool emerging and advancing technology, it can do more and more for you. Uh, so I think that is oftentimes very intimidating for a lot of people. The amount of upfront investment to really set it up and get it to the point where it's operating efficiently. I think the other thing that people have shared in the conversations that I've had is it's not something that they were expecting. They're focusing more on their website. They're focusing on their marketing campaigns to generate their leads, and then they're ready to grab their phones and start dialing for dollars and hustling and doing whatever they need to get in front of people. But then, what is this other thing that I've got to keep up with? I've got to regularly log in. I've got to maintain it. This feels like extra work when I thought I was buying something that's supposed to be saving me work.
So a combination of maybe not wanting to put in the effort on the front end, kind of that productivity trap that people get stuck in, where it's like, oh yeah, I got to do something right now, but you could automate it, but that would take longer, and so you kind of keep kicking that ball down the road, and then maybe like what bad experiences in the past, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I bought into a system and I was trying to set it up, but I didn't understand the interface. And then I saw an alternative, so I switched platforms, and that took time, that took more money, took more effort, and then that other application couldn't do this one thing that I wanted. And so that's something else that we hear and we see people that kind of feature shop. They buy into a system for one or two particular features, but then they find, oh, that itself isn't what I need. That's not growing my business. That's not helping me go forward. And so then they tend to shop around. They move from platform to platform or tool to tool, trying to find kind of the silver bullet, so to speak, of what's going to be the one thing that is going to do it for me.
I think that people get hung up in the features debate on CRMs, and there's a lot to be discussed there. But I think an organization in any industry should invest a lot of time thinking about what did the designers intend for that CRM to do. So, and like what is the playbook that went with it? So if you are implementing Pipedrive or HubSpot or Zoho or Salesforce, like a lot of those organizations had a data model that maps their view of reality. And so like, they might not, like HubSpot's not really great for real estate, but Real Geeks is great for real estate. But it's, if you like our playbook, you're going to love our CRM, right? But if you don't like our playbook, you might not like our CRM because it's going to be like round peg, square hole.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's, I think, one of the challenging things coming from the developing side for a system like this is, our approach is where we listen to all the feedback and we talk to people as we were discussing at the beginning. We sometimes have to find, that line of best fit, so to speak, where you have so many different agents and teams and brokerages that have their own unique business models and they're in their own specific markets, that everyone's got their own way of doing their business and their feature set, their tools that they're looking for their business flows. And it very much can feel like, square peg and round hole if it's like, oh, but I needed to do this thing because this is the way that we're used to doing things. That's also, very much a challenge. And so for us, we try to come up with the playbook that is based on best practices and then build the tools to try to fit the broad customer face. But sometimes, that doesn't help everybody. And so it's where one of the approaches that we take with our feature development is we try to see what's going to help and do the most good for the most people, while from time to time adding some quality of life updates and other smaller features to make sure that we're serving the needs of the broader demographic as well.
I think we're going to get into this way later in the podcast. So stay tuned, everyone, because I think I want to push back on you a little bit because I know what you guys are cooking. And, sometimes you ask someone what they want and, it's like sort of that Henry Ford, if I ask my customers what they want, they'd say a faster horse. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of new technology that you guys are thinking about, which is creating some opportunities that I think maybe the industry hasn't thought about yet. But we'll get to that. So There's another thing, thread I want to pick up here,
Okay.
which is I think a lot of people think about a CRM as like a database of contacts, and that doesn't mean like that's like I don't even know the right analogy for that. It's like it's saying that your iPhone is a device that you call people on. It's like it doesn't. Yeah, that's probably what it started out as, but it does so much more than that. So, and you've been kind of hinting at it, like all the automations, all the the underpinnings and the productivity growth. So when you think about what a CRM does and is, like what are you really thinking about? How would you describe it?
I'm going to go ahead and toss out the big buzzword that is out there right now that I know that people are thinking about and talking about quite a lot. AI. I think what a CRM is and is becoming is it's more than just a glorified Rolodex. It's more than just your digital, contact book. And it's becoming a lot more than even just the place where I have my contacts, where I can set up automated emails and texts and where I can look at the activities of the people on my website. It is becoming another team member as part of a brokerage or a group. We're leaning into that space with the AI, especially. What can we do to identify patterns in what all of the leads are looking at on the website and promote the highest potential leads in front of the agents so that they don't have to spend the time going through their contact book, looking at activity histories to find, okay, who are the ones that I think are most likely to pick up the phone and ready to move forward? That's all stuff that should be fully automated. We can look at trends and we can look at data to surface those conclusions. So I think that CRM is becoming your best friend, your MVP, and that's the most valuable person, not minimum viable product. Since we're having the tech conversation here, but the MVP standout star of your team is going to be your CRM because it's handling all of that initial contact work for you. It's surfacing who's got the most potential to transact. It's making sure that they get the early and often contact. And then it's going to be alerting you of, hey, here's everything that I've done on your behalf. Your next step is this.
All right, Chuck, real quick before we go any further, we've got the Real Growth Summit coming up on September 15th and 16th with a welcome cocktail party on the 14th. This is formerly known as the unofficial Real Geeks User Conference. Both you and I will be there. We love talking to customers, meeting everyone. If you guys have thoughts on this topic and want to deliver them live in person, not in the comment section, you need to be there, Richardson, Texas. Chuck, what is your favorite part of going to this conference?
I love going to the conference just for the exact reasons of where we started this conversation. It's an opportunity to get to talk to people that are using our software, people that are thinking about using our software, so that they can make sure that we know exactly what they want. We can know what's working for them, what's not working for them. The other really fun thing for us is that's an opportunity for the product team to get in front of people and say, here's what we've got cooking in the kitchen. Let us know your feedback, and that shapes some of the direction that we go. And it's just fun to get in there and you get to learn from the agents. How are they doing things with their systems in ways that, we didn't even think of? You mentioned the playbook and how, as tech companies, we create our software around, the happy path of, what we see is the value add for somebody by using our tools and our features. It's often been a surprise to hear how people are utilizing software in ways that we didn't anticipate, but is giving them a lot of success.
Awesome. We will see you guys at the conference. Again, links down below. Okay, moving on. Chuck, so we've talked a lot about like what a CRM is and, basically why they would like it, but let's talk about some of the traps and pitfalls and things that agents do wrong. So, obviously the CRM is there to help an agent achieve scale, but what are some of the things that people do that end up like eating more time than they should? Like the mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, that is essentially it right there too, is getting into a trap where you're spending more time messing with the system than you are actually interacting with the people that it represents, right? Because sometimes I say that the CRM shouldn't be thought of so much as a database as much as a people base. right? It's where you do all your analytics, and yeah, it's got your info and your stats and your metrics and lots of names. But at the end of the day, those are all meant to represent the people you're working with. And the entire purpose, as I said, the CRM is meant to be your assistant, your teammate that helps get you in front of people and manage their journey through your pipeline and your funnel. Uh, so one of the biggest traps that we see people get in is one, not taking the time to set it up at the beginning. They think, all right, this is got my thing. It's going to do the work for me. And then they don't invest the effort to learn about it. On the other end of the spectrum, we see some people that just spend so much time really getting into the weeds, trying to customize every single thing, and to the point where I'm doing something different with every single contact rather than letting the system do its things. Like, I'm constantly trying to tweak the automation to the point where I'm just always doing something in there instead of letting the automations run. So you got to kind of find a happy medium there.
Right, right. So the sweet spot between the people that are like, okay, I got this and I don't use it, versus the, little bit obsessive compulsive people that, or like maybe the older school control freaks that are like, I must customize every automation. Like, you're not going to achieve that scale unless you let the system actually work for you.
Yeah, it's kind of the same as if you imagine getting a gym membership. And this is an analogy I use often. So I may have pulled this out on here before, but if you're getting a membership to a gym, you don't need to use every single piece of equipment to have a good workout, to focus on, building your core, your upper body, your lower body, whatever it is that you've got the goal to improve. You use those tools that are most going to support your goals and your needs. So it's kind of, on one hand, you've got the people that buy the gym membership and never use it. And then on the other, those, okay, I'm paying for this thing. I've got to really use every part of it. So I'm going to hit every single machine. I'm going to spend hours in the sauna and getting the protein shakes from the drink bar, just really getting every single ounce of value out of this I can. And ultimately not really getting the real value because you're missing the mark.
It is a hilarious image thinking about someone going into the gym and trying to use every machine to do it. So like, anyway, moving on from that. Yeah, that is a good point. And I think, maybe just a little conference plug again, or mastermind group plug again. I think that the way that people use the features is also unique. So even though we have a playbook, we have like an intended way that we thought people would use the system. The level of creativity that our customers show is spectacular. And so you really need to like go talk to, other users and find out like the new and novel ways that they have paired like marketing programs with different CRM feature sets to get like very unique outcomes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And every now and then we'll be talking with somebody, or somebody might post and say, well, don't you talk with the agents? And it's like, yes, we do. We talk with a ton of agents, but there's just such a different way that people tend to approach things.
Yeah. So, I mean, think about this as a product guy. Like, you obviously spend a lot of time like talking to customers as well as like looking at usage reports and stuff like that. Where do you think people spend a lot of time that you wish they would dedicate elsewhere?
One of the biggest things that I see people kind of struggle with, in the CRM struggle, given the tools that they have available to them, is maybe indexing a little bit too much on the data side of the database. Now, having the metrics, the stats, that's all important. And one of the goals of the CRM as your assistant is to surface who are the high potential leads worthy of your time and effort, who's most likely to move forward through your pipeline. But in talking with customers, or when we get feedback from the launches that we do, sometimes you have some folks that are drilling down into one particular stat or one particular number. That's not the thing that's really moving their business forward. It's something maybe they've built some operational workflows around for how they determine lead priorities, but it's not as important as when you take a step back and you look at kind of numbers in aggregate. You try to get the bigger picture. It's like trying to zero in on an individual brush stroke as opposed to taking a half step back and seeing how all the strokes come together to form an image. For example, we have recently launched a new feature at Real Geeks called the lead feed. And the first version is a foundation that we're laying for this new mission control experience within the Real Geeks CRM. We've got a lot of really cool plans for that. But around that launch, we had some vocal feedback about things that people felt, oh, well, you're telling me what you see as a priority lead, but I look for this number, or I look for this particular lead activity. I want this. And, when we talk with people and we're sussing out, what are the features that we need to build? Where are the greatest areas of opportunity for us to add value? We don't always, translate requests directly into feature. We try to look at, what's the value, what's the real why behind this
Yeah.
ask. And, the single biggest question that we get on the CRM side after people have moved past, the website and the lead generation of how can I get more leads, it's how do I know which leads to focus on? How do I know who are my priorities? And so we try to build the tools and the features to help people know, hey, if you're going to call just one person today, you should be calling a lot more than that. But if you were going to call just one person today, make it this one, or make it, one from this group. And it might not be representative of the specific stat that you're used to working around, but we try to group all together of who's engaging with communications, who's active on your site, who's a repeat website visitor, are they favoriting properties, have they sent you a message? You were asking about stats and some of the usage numbers we look at. It is shocking to see the number of leads across all systems who have sent an inquiry of some type that goes unanswered. We call that, it's labeled the awaiting response category on our
Yeah.
lead feed, but I like to think of that as like the silver platter category. These are people that are asking you to contact them, the ones that have sent a email or a text or a property inquiry of some sort. And we're doing some fine tuning to really make sure that that's the cream of the crop. And as time goes on, we're going to continue to fine tune our algorithms and introduce some of this AI that's going to be giving more detailed lead summaries and recommendations. But the point is, we're trying to look at what's going to help you on the whole, like give you that full picture and not just one number that by itself isn't really the thing that's going to scale your growth in your business.
You have teed me up for the perfect next question, which is, you have a view of the future, right? Because you have seen and worked on, been part of the Real Geeks, product roadmap. So when you think about new features that are coming down the pipe, what are you most excited about?
I have a lot of things that I'm very excited about. Like I say, going back in the vein of feature requests, we get a lot of requests constantly, and a lot of them are really great. And we look for the best way to execute on that. And thinking of answering those big questions that we get behind the request of, well, how do I know which leads to focus on? Beyond that, the questions tend to be, how do I know what to say to these people? How do I help them progress, towards transaction? A lot of things I'm excited about are going to continue to address those questions of showing lead priority and what are the recommended next steps of this is what to say, when to say it. And it's, sometimes some of the questions that we get from agents are, oh, well, are all these features just trying to do my job for me or tell me how to do my job? And it's not that at all. It's meant to be a teammate there for you to support you. The three pillars that we're building our AI tools on are one, to do it for me. Let the assistant take care of the repetitive tasks, the bookkeeping, the initial nurture outreach, trying to go through and play the numbers game for you of getting somebody to hop on the phone with you. Then there's the tell me what you did, provide transparency and clarity for how we're helping to support your business through the things that we're doing for you. And then the third is kind of, show me what's next. Tell me my part in this. The AI nurtures a lead, gets them ready to talk on the phone with you. But then you come in, and just like agents tell us all the time, that, hey, I'm a people person. That's where I shine. It's in the relationships. We'll get you ready to start that relationship, to bring your expertise. Is not something any machine or automation could ever replace, is that human interaction that you're going to bring with your expertise to talking with that person. I have had my own experiences in home buying, working with an amazing real estate agent who listened to me, went out, helped me find this home that I'm in right now. The agent found because she listened to my needs. And even though I had done my searches and I said, I want to see this property and that listing and let's go tour here. Uh, she was able to parse together what I was really looking for, and using her relationships in the community, was able to find a listing that hadn't been published yet. And that's maybe a little bit of a special circumstance perhaps, but I think it's illustrative of what the person brings to the process. So the AI, the automations, the tools that we build are meant to get you to that point, and then you bring you. And that's really where the value is going to add. And you're going to work together with these tools to drive more success than you can even picture right now. That's been one of the other exciting things to see with these projects, as we've been going through creating things like the lead feed that do a lot of the background analysis of what are people looking at on their websites and identifying these high potential leads. For as much as people might say, oh, it's kind of tough in real estate for the last little bit, there were so many people out there doing searches, and it's more than just, the tire kickers or the people that like to go on and dream of, what could a home look like? It's like people that are actively doing searches with the intent of making a purchase, of going someplace new, of taking a new adventure, of wanting to list their home and go someplace different, start another chapter in their life. There are lots of people out there engaging, and they're ready for the agents. And so to bring that back, with the tools and the features that we're building, it's meant to support that growth. Like you can't replace the person, and we don't want to. Like our job is to help enhance what makes the agents great by helping them focus on, this is who and this is when, and here's some suggestions for how to approach that.
Love it, Chuck. I think that is the perfect place to end. Really, thank you for your time and insight here. It's always fascinating, getting the view from the inside. I know our customers, I am fortunate enough to get to talk to you guys all the time. But, I know our customers appreciate, the view from the development side. So this is awesome. If people have questions for you, how do they get a hold of you?
September, come chat with me at the at the Growth Summit. We'll be there. I'll talk with you as long as you'd like. We'll be there that Monday and Tuesday. Outside of that, you can find me charles.richards@realgeeks.com. Happy to answer any messages, or if you want to set up a coordinated time to talk. Otherwise, if you have questions, you can hit up our team, toss them in the comments for the video if you're checking us out on YouTube.
Perfect. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Chuck already did the calls to action for me, so we are done here. Catch you on the next one.